what does it mean to build heaven in your work?
Don't we want to cut the button?
We're
Go
all
ahead.
so polite.
Well,
I'll piggyback.
Thank you for asking about this, because I was so excited in their workshop that I literally redirected my workshop in the back because they said a few things that were in conversation with some of the work I do, and just gave language to something that I've been working on or trying to get at, which is heaven is not just for the dead, which, and then I'm not gonna butcher y'all's longer definition about the importance of heaven making, but they talked a lot about the importance of heaven making in the earth. And for me, heaven is a deeply political concept, and I talked a lot about this in my workshop about not just who the politics of who we imagine in heaven, or who it's difficult for us to imagine in heaven, but even our construction of what we think heaven looks like, who we think heaven is for, what is happening in heaven. I talked earlier about how you hear Black folks at the homegoing, we're talking about how our people are in heaven talking to each other, singing, dancing at the spades table, doing all of these things. And so part of, for me, heaven making is thinking about, or world building and thinking about heaven, is thinking about who is allowed to build our collective understanding of heaven. Who is allowed to shape our imaginations about what we think heaven is? Who is sold the idea that heaven is something that you have to die to experience? How is our theological imagination impacted by our current suffering? I talked about, I teach a workshop on building heavens, and I talked about how when I go to different youth who have experienced different things, have a different capacity to imagine what's happening in heaven, or to imagine an alternate world. Sometimes when I go to teach a workshop on heaven building to a group of youth who might have a lot of difficult circumstances, and I ask them what they think is happening in heaven, their answers are, there's food, there is, fathers are in the home, or all of these, their answers are just about their material conditions. Sometimes it takes us just getting past the material work to even get to maybe somebody has wings, maybe glitter falls out of the sky, maybe there is something fantastical or beautiful happening. So for me, heaven is a political tool. It's something that I believe in, but it's also something that's deeply political, and I'm always wrestling with, when I think about constructing heaven, is not just trying to build a place where my dead live after they've suffered on this world, but also thinking about it as something that helps me imagine a better place here.
So beautiful. And even with your understanding and how you construct this idea of heaven, it even made us look at our idea of heaven building in a different type of circumstance, because when we look at heaven building as this necessity and this need, it comes back to, it's based on the fact of our real life reality being so effed up that we need to imagine a space that is better than where we are. And for us, it's always been something that I think has been a part of our practice as MCs, as community leaders, just always trying to figure out with those that we're building with, that we mentor, that we are in communion with, if you are going through struggles and strife and difficult circumstances, how can what you have now allow you to begin the building blocks to get yourself into a better circumstance or situation? And hip hop has always taught us this. Not only has hip hop been a space for us to understand ourselves better, deal with our traumas, our issues, and the things that we kind of want to sweep under the rug, it makes you pull up that rug or knock down that curtain and really see, was this my fault? Do I have a place in this? Was this my issue? And if any of these things you can say yes to, that means you can have a change in that. and you have the tools to really reassess and make sure that as you move forward in your life, these are things that are constantly evolving and becoming more concrete in this heaven imagery that you have for yourself. So it's less of a imaginative thing, and it's really for us a space for us to figure out, where are we now, where are we trying to go, and what do we have at our disposal to begin making this work a true practice that gets us to our end goal. So heaven building for us is not only just something that we, it sound cool and like it's this, that, and the third, but a real true practice that we want to put into our kids, our youth especially, because like she said, man, the kids that we in front of on a daily basis, they are going through things at home that the classroom is not taking care of. It's like, so we don't have therapists on hand, the counselors are slim and things like that. So if we can just get them into a space knowing that they at least have enough to get them to that next step, and then again, because it's a spiritual practice, know and have faith that the next, whatever else you need, don't think so far ahead that it's like, oh, it's impossible. Just like, what's my first step? And then once I get there, I know that by faith and by my intention, I'm going to have what I need to get to that next step. So this is more than just something that we can talk about on a panel, and more so about a real practice that we want to put into play for ourselves and our kids.
Yeah. I'll piggyback off that. In our collective, we have a mantra. The mantra is, God is in everything, therefore everything is great. We've been saying this for years, and it's a mind over matter, for sure, but it's keeping just the proper perspective in mind, and it's consistently empowering ourselves and holding ourselves accountable to the energies that we circulate. And so for me, God is in everything, everything is great. The whole heaven building concept is so necessary to times when we're miserable, and you look around and we're miserable. Even when I left the country, I was talking to the kids out there in Morocco. Hey, I don't want to be miserable. I want to, eradicate misery from my family. And it's just like, man, we all can agree that like the world is pretty messed up, and we deal with a lot of oppressions, from our food to the air, to the water, to the words that we hear, to the things we see on these screens, being in our screens all day long. It's just so much that takes us out of the spirit. But I truly believe it's in everyone's responsibility to actively create heaven where you can. And as a hip hop artist, I just think that it's a really cool space to be in, because it's like not everybody's here. Not everybody is on this frequency and trying to put this out. So it's like, in a way, with the miseducation of hip hop and through Mother Nature, we want to bring people back to nature, and we want to be able to work in the ways that nature has showed us, in the ways that the divine has showed us. There are root systems in the ground that communicate and feed each other and help each other. And it's like, man, if we could operate like that, human to human, if we could treat animals with the same respect, what I mean? I just imagine, being in a space that's just full of light and love, and it's possible. And raise a hand who's ever felt depression or been in a state of depression or anxiety. And it'd be kind of tough to crawl out of. It's a mental space, it's a physical space, it's your aura, it's a whole lot going on. But then when you are kind of delivered from that energy and you feel what it feels just to be good, and like it just feels so good, I don't want to go back there. I ain't trying to do that again. So I feel like if we could start, and it might start in small groups and small little clusters, but if collectively we can start to kind of transmute that energy, I don't really think we're gonna go back. So